They say poverty is just a lack of money, but that's not the full story. Poverty is also a mindset, a language, a system of fear and misinformation that keeps people stuck, generation after generation. It's not just about what people don't have, it's about what they've been taught to believe they can't do. And the trap begins early. You grow up hearing phrases like, don't take risks, play it safe, get a secure job, don't speak unless you're sure. These aren't just words, they're invisible chains. They shape how you think, how you speak, how you move through the world. And over time, they become your reality. Language is powerful. It's not just a tool for communication, it's a tool for control. The poor are often taught to speak in ways that shrink their confidence. They're told to be humble, to not sound too ambitious, to avoid sounding too smart or too proud. But here's the irony. The rich use language to expand their influence. They speak with certainty, even when they're wrong. They ask questions without fear of sounding foolish. They negotiate, they challenge, they interrupt, and nobody punishes them for it. Meanwhile, the poor are taught to stay quiet, to avoid confrontation, to not rock the boat. That's not humility, that's fear disguised as politeness. And fear is the real prison. Fear of making mistakes, fear of being judged, fear of losing what little you have. It's everywhere. You want to start a business, but you're afraid you'll fail. You want to speak up in a meeting, but you're afraid you'll sound stupid. You want to ask for help, but you're afraid of being seen as weak. So you stay silent, you stay stuck, and the system loves that, because the system isn't built to help you escape. It's built to keep you in place. Let's talk about these fake systems, the ones that pretend to offer opportunity, but are really just traps. Like the idea that school alone will save you, that if you just get good grades, everything will work out. But nobody tells you that the system rewards confidence more than competence, that the job market favors those who network, who speak well, who know how to play the game. And if you don't know the rules, if you've never been taught how to navigate that world, you're left behind. Not because you're not smart, but because you were never given the tools. And then there's misinformation, the myths that circulate in poor communities, like rich people are greedy, money is evil, success means selling out. These ideas sound noble, but they're poison. They create shame around ambition. They make you feel guilty for wanting more. So, you settle. You convince yourself that staying small is the moral choice, but it's not. It's just another trap. Now imagine growing up in a world where every bold idea is met with doubt. You say you want to start something new, and people around you say, what if it doesn't work? You mention a dream, and they respond, be realistic. This isn't just discouragement, it's conditioning. It teaches you to second guess yourself before you even begin. And over time, you internalize that voice. It becomes your own. You start killing your ideas before they're even born. That's how fear becomes a habit, not just a reaction, but a lifestyle. And the worst part? You start believing that this fear is wisdom, that being cautious is being smart, that avoiding risk is the mature thing to do. But what if that's the lie? What if the real wisdom is learning how to fail and keep going? What if the real strength is in trying, falling, and rising again? The rich fail all the time. They lose money, they make bad deals, they take wrong turns, but they don't let fear define them. They treat mistakes as tuition, as part of the process. The poor, on the other hand, are taught that failure is shameful, that it's proof you weren't good enough. So, they avoid it at all costs, and in doing so, they avoid growth. Let's go deeper into language. Think about how people in poor communities talk about money. It's often with anxiety, with guilt, with tension. We can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people don't care about us. These phrases aren't just expressions, they're beliefs. They shape how people see the world. And when you believe that money is scarce, that it's dirty, that it's dangerous, you push it away. Even when opportunities come, you hesitate. You sabotage yourself, not because you don't want success, but because deep down, you're afraid of what it means. And then there's the silence, the things people don't say, the questions they don't ask, the conversations they avoid. In poor communities, talking about money, ambition, or strategy can feel taboo. You don't want to sound arrogant. You don't want to seem like you think you're better than others. So you stay quiet. You keep your ideas to yourself, and that silence becomes isolation. You don't learn from others. You don't collaborate. You don't grow. Meanwhile, In wealthy circles, people talk openly, they share strategies, they ask questions, they challenge each other. That's how they evolve. And let's not forget the fake systems that reward conformity. Systems that say, follow the rules and you'll succeed. But whose rules? Who made them? And who benefits from them? The poor are often taught to be obedient, to not question authority, to follow the path laid out for them. But that path rarely leads to freedom. It leads to survival, not success. The real path, the one that leads to transformation, is messy, it's uncertain, it requires courage, and most importantly, it requires unlearning everything you were taught to fear. When Oprah Winfrey was a child, she wore potato sacks because her family couldn't afford clothes. She was told she'd never make it, that her background was too broken, her voice too different. But she didn't just break through, she rewrote the rules. And it wasn't just talent, it was her ability to speak with power, to challenge the narrative, to use language as a weapon instead of a weakness. That's what most people trapped in poverty never learn, that your voice is your leverage. But when you grow up being told to stay quiet, to not question, to not stand out, you lose that weapon before you even know you have it. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, not because he was weak, but because he refused to accept the fake system that told him his people didn't deserve freedom. He could have stayed silent, he could have played it safe, but he chose to speak, to resist, to believe in something bigger. That's the kind of mindset that breaks traps. But most people aren't taught to think like that. They're taught to survive, not to lead, to obey, not to question. And that's how the system wins, by convincing you that smallness is safety. Let's talk about fear. J.K. Rowling was a single mother living on welfare when she wrote the first Harry Potter book. She was rejected by 12 publishers. 12. Most people would have stopped after 2. But she kept going, not because she was fearless, but because she didn't let fear make decisions for her. That's the difference. The poor are taught that fear is a stop sign. The successful treat it like a signal to push harder. And that shift in mindset, it's everything. Now think about misinformation. For years, people believed that the only path to success was through formal education. But Steve Jobs dropped out of college. So did Mark Zuckerberg. So did Bill Gates. They didn't follow the system. They built their own. And yet, in poor communities, the message is still, get good grades, follow the rules, don't take risks. That's not a success strategy. That's a survival manual. And survival is not the same as freedom. Here's the emotional truth. These stories aren't just exceptions. They're proof that the system isn't absolute, that fear can be unlearned, that language can be reclaimed. But most people never get that proof. They're surrounded by silence, by caution, by shame. And that silence becomes their story. It becomes their identity, until someone shows them a different way. There's a moment in the life of every successful person where they had to choose between comfort and courage. Elon Musk was nearly broke after investing everything into Tesla and SpaceX. People laughed at him. Experts said he was delusional, but he kept going, not because he was certain, but because he refused to let fear dictate his future. That's what most people trapped in poverty never get to see, the messy middle, the part where everything feels like it's falling apart, but you keep moving anyway. That's not luck, that's mindset. And mindset isn't just about thinking positive, it's about rewiring how you respond to failure, to rejection, to uncertainty. The poor are often taught that failure is final, that one mistake means you're not cut out for success. But look at Thomas Edison. He failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about it, he said, "I didn't fail. I just found 1,000 ways that didn't work." That's the kind of thinking that builds empires. But it's rarely taught in classrooms, especially not in places where survival is the priority. Now let's talk about systems. The education system, the job market, even social media. They all reward those who know how to present themselves, how to speak with confidence, how to sell ideas. But if you've grown up being told to stay quiet, to not stand out, to avoid risk, you're already behind before the race even starts. And that's not your fault. That's the trap. The system doesn't just test your skills, it tests your conditioning. And if your conditioning is built on fear, you'll hesitate, you'll overthink, you'll wait for permission that never comes. But here's the shift. Once you realize the system is flawed, you stop trying to fit into it. You start building your own. That's what people like Sarah Blakely did. She was selling fax machines door to door before she created Spanx. No business degree, no fancy connections, just an idea, and the courage to act on it. She didn't wait for the system to validate her. She created something the system couldn't ignore. And that's the message. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to start. Speak, even if your voice shakes. Try, even if you might fail. Question, even if you don't have all the answers. Because the real trap isn't poverty. It's the belief that you're powerless. And once you break that belief, everything changes. So, if you're watching this, and you've felt stuck, silenced, or small, this is your moment. Not to escape the system, but to outgrow it. To rewrite the language. To face the fear. To build something real. Because the world doesn't change when the rich get richer. It changes when the silent start to speak.